Welcome everybody to a brand new show called NAGGERS, and in this show we'll be breaking down political and global situations and comparing them to spurgy situations that happened within the commentary community. I'm your host Badwick, and I'm joined with Seth as we dive into these global situations and try to compare them to commentary things, like, for this episode, the anti-commentary situation, and tried to compare it to Hamas and Israel. And luckily, we have an expert on the situation because Seth is Jewish.
Well, most importantly, I watch a lot of Destiny videos.
Oh, come on. Destiny? What info can Destiny give you, actually, realistically, about that?
Realistically, he actually has been, going ham on the subject, with looking at the history.
The history. Okay. So are you familiar with the history in the Middle East situation currently? Like how
Did you just really ask
Yes,
me
I
that?
really
Okay,
have to ask you this. We are
okay.
Come on. I want to know how familiar you are with it.
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm probably the most familiar person in the world with
Okay, so you're aware that the situation occurred in, it was 1947 when Israel was given the land by...
I'm completely aware because we used to have fights over the dinner table where my sister would get kicked out.
Okay, so can I ask you a personal question then? On a comparison from 1 to 10, how Jewish are you?
I'd say a solid 4.
A solid 4? You're not even across the halfway mark.
Okay, can you let me explain here? Okay, I am genetically Jewish. I'm not very culturally Jewish.
Okay. Well, okay. Question then: was I right about the date, 1947? Okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought. Right. So 1947 was basically when the UK and I'm gonna say for
it was FN basically.
Yeah. So basically, the situation going on in the Middle East right now is the Israeli-Palestine conflict is over basically who gets control of what land and how it is controlled. The issues regarding this conflict are the means in which the conflict is being fought versus the treatment of civilians, media portrayal of the situation, and the governance over the land, and also religious tensions. What we'll be comparing this situation to is the current situation within the commentary community, that is two split factions that have been created within commentary, with one faction being well known within the commentary community, which can be broken down to popular commentary creators, which we can call them the commentary bros and the now recording group and the communities associated with them, while in contrast the anti-commentary movement are the individuals that have their own communities that have banded together to form a loosely formed and complicated alliance to challenge those within the larger commentary community. Many within the anti-commentary movement feel like they have been personally wronged by these individuals within the commentary community and have started to call out the deplatforming of these creators due to the hypocrisy within the community and the cliques that exist. In your opinion, is that how you would observe this situation within the commentary community?
That's exactly how I would observe it, actually. I think for me, the important part is that the way that we compare these two situations comes down to the public view and the media put forth, right? So for the Israel Hamas situation, we have propaganda from both sides, whereas it's sort of a similar situation with the commentary / anti-commentary groups. The propaganda is there to sway the public opinion to get support from other countries, whereas the media that are put forward from the anti-commentary and commentary situation is more so to sway people inside the commentary community to pick sides.
No, and you know what? I actually totally agree with that, the way you described it, because both communities are arguing for their own personal right to exist. And at this point, both communities, their end goal would realistically have the other side not exist. And that's how I portray it, because the general, larger commentary community believes that these people within the anti-commentary community shouldn't have a platform. They shouldn't be allowed to speak. They shouldn't be allowed to do what they do due to things that they have been accused of. While the anti-commentary community basically are criticizing the commentary community for hypocrisies that they have been accused of, that they have also conducted. But then basically it boils down to like the popular narrative of the situation that majority of people are comfortable with the commentary community, and a lot of people will side with them due to audience size, and popularity on like streaming platforms and YouTube. And it's hard with these anti-commentary individuals because some of their points aren't wrong, but I find the personal issue with a lot of these individuals is that they have made personal vendettas, which is something like you and I have spoken about in private about this, is that like they might as a group be united in the whole purpose that like they want to call out hypocrisies within the commentary community, and they want to call out these cliques that exist, but that is like probably the only way I find they're united. But at the end of the day, the anti-commentary community, their biggest grievance I personally find is that they're being basically snuffed out. Like, the larger commentary community is basically saying, these people are bad, these people are terrible, and anyone who associates with them, they should be, like, removed as well, which is what you sort of brought up earlier, where you're like, it's like forcing to pick a side. And then the fear of it is that if you're a smaller creator in this situation, and you go against the larger commentary community, you're going to be blackballed, and you're going to be basically forced into this anti-commentary community, which personally I've seen creators get sucked into that void, where now they feel like they're anti-commentary because they have been pushed out of the cool kid club. While
and I also, just before we go ahead with this, right, I want to sort of like get your opinion on this, because we are comparing the two situations, okay? If you had to say which side is which, comparing
you stole my question.
Yeah, but we need to get it out of the way, okay? I'll answer as well. But which one would you equate to Hamas, and which one would you equate to Israel?
Absolutely, I think the anti-commentary is Hamas, and the larger commentary community is Israel. And my personal thoughts on it is because the larger commentary community gets a lot of extra support from outside of the actual commentary community. A lot of other creators know them, and they know the weight that they hold in the community. It's like, use people like Nicholas Diorio, for example. People know that even though he's in commentary, other YouTubers are aware of the weight he holds when he talks. And so if he says a group of people are bad, like he has with this anti-commentary movement, that movement will never get any extra support from anyone outside of the commentary community.
And then on my end, right, because you said exactly, you compared it more to the outwards, like, perception of what's going on, right? If I look at the war and the ongoing, let's be honest, okay, Palestine was on a turf, right? And Israel came in and was given this sort of turf and kind of took it over and oppressed these people, which is what, I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's what the anti-commentary people see the situation as, that they are being oppressed by the larger commentary community at scale.
Well, like...
And that's how I compare the two.
Part of, like, the stigma with the anti-commentary community as well, and why I also compared them to Hamas, was the brutality of the way they revolt against commentary. So commentary, up until recently, for the most part, has always preached, like, if you're going to go against someone, make a video about them. Preach your opinions and your facts against these people. And for the most part, that has worked. While the anti-commentary community, I'm not going to name, like, individuals within it, but it has largely been compared to, like, harassment campaigns, doxing, you know what I mean? Like, those sort of nasty slime tactics as a means to go after individuals within the commentary community, obviously up until some of the leaks that have recently occurred today, which has only fueled the anti-commentary kind of, like, train, if you want to call it, which is also part of what I personally think Hamas is doing with the media with Israel right now. How, like, Hamas did an atrocious attack on Israel. Everyone, like, if you deny that, you're retarded, in my opinion. Like, there's no way to deny that attack was awful and, like, unjust. However, a lot of people are critical on how Israel has reacted to Gaza and the West Bank in the approach to basically deal with these people, which then I personally think the commentary community has just like doubled down on these people. And again, with like the group chat that was recently leaked, it showed that there was like people deplatforming and like collectively like arranging for deplatforming of individuals, an individual, and so on and so forth. And like that's fine if like that person, like no one's gonna argue that person's validity, you know what I mean, in this situation. But the point is that these are also people that have preached against these sort of tactics, which again, Israel for like the longest, like has always tried to remain like almost like a first world country just in the Middle East, and like they try to remain very like in terms of the Western world.
You're gonna get some flag for saying that the Middle East is third world countries, but go ahead.
No, I said like Israel, you know what I mean? Well, whatever, I don't even fucking care.
Okay, go ahead.
And Europe, you know what I mean? They've always like tried to like portray this like sort of familiarity, sorry, with it. And that's where I find, like, recently the anti-commentary train has been given a lot of ammo against them, in a sense, regarding, like, the group chats and some of the recent things that have arose. Because a lot of the hypocrisies that they were originally calling out, which originally they had no validation for. They were just assuming it was happening, you know what I mean? Now they have one bit of evidence, or piece of evidence for it, and they're running with it. But now you can't deny them as well. Which is sort of like what has happened with like the Hamas situation in Israel, when like Hamas is like, well, Israel's doing all these terrible things. Like, look, they cut the power off. They cut the water off. Look at the attacks they're doing. Like, yes, Israel has done a lot of those attacks. Are they truthful to like the level Hamas is saying? No one can, like, unless you're on the fucking ground journalist, no one's able to like validate it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a journalist. I'm not like expert in this topic. So like, again, like, I'm not talking to offend anyone. I'm just talking fucking straight up. So.
Yeah, but it's still like, I think we can't deny at this point that Israel has also done terrible things, which is kind of the point of why it's so hard to pick a side, right? And that same thing goes for the commentary community, because now
I don't think it's hard to pick a side.
Validity. Though. I think it is, because I think there's validity to both sides now.
But like, okay, so let's use like my example per se. I'm a content creator trying to move up in like content, and you know what I mean. This game is all about like community and networking. Like if you annex yourself, especially in the commentary community, you're not going to go far. So to me, like if I throw down with the anti-commentary people and like agree with everything they've done and like try to validate everything they've done, you're gonna get blackballed. You really will. Yeah. And like, is it right that happens? No, it's not right at all. But that is what will happen. And like
but what I'm saying is, you can pick a side publicly, but it's hard to actually say who's really the person that you should be standing with here, because both parties are doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing.
Well, I can see that. I think that is.
You can say Hamas or the anti-commentary community has done way worse, which I think that's what I believe, at least.
Well, this is
that's not a hard stone to throw for me. But it doesn't mean that I still have to stand with the other part who's also done something.
Well, this is where I think there's like levels to it, though, with like the anti-commentary community and then Palestine and what's it called, Hamas.
You really think there's levels?
I do,
really
because like
worse than the other?
Again though, like let's go back to the media portrayal of this. Like, I know for a fact a lot of people where I live, like Thunder Bay, Canada, watching the news, they think Hamas is all of Palestine. They think everyone in Palestine is like part of Hamas. Everyone part of Gaza is part of Hamas. Like that's a real perception where I live. And I do find like there are levels as well within like the anti-commentary community. There are people who just don't like the mainstream commentary community, but they're not doing anything terrible. They're just orbiters or people who like are small-time content creators that by default have been lumped in to the larger people within the anti-commentary community, because there are individuals in the anti-commentary community that have done terrible things and that have done it. But then saying that everyone, I personally find within anti-commentary through like orbiters, viewers, or small content creators aren't necessarily on the same level, but they've all been lumped in together, and that majority of people like viewing them from the outside in, from like the big commentary or the popular commentary sphere of things, will just view all of them as the same. Like the moment that anti-commentary word is thrown around, or the moment like they hear someone watches so and so, they're automatically most times lumped in with that person by default. And I view that. I think that's a real thing. But I also find the media, especially like at least where I am in Canada, doesn't do a huge or a great job at like separating Hamas from Palestine. You just hear Hamas or you just hear the Palestine war. But you don't like, a lot of people where I live don't realize that Palestine has a separate government. And Hamas was just a branch of that government. Not a lot of people where I live know that. And I mean, like I said, like comparing this to the anti-commentary community, I do talk to people part of that community, like pretty often. I enjoy kind of like, you know what I mean, dabbling into that side of those and getting the perception of those people. But that's what forced me to realize, like, they are not united on their front. They have all personal vengeance, like grievances and vengeances.
And is that why you personally like equate them to Hamas so much? Just because there is a difference between the general Palestine as like the anti-commentary community, but then they're split off.
Well, that's exactly like
they don't really
how I originally got the idea of this. Like with you, like I do find there's layers to the situation. I feel like on a general look, it's easy to just compare all those people together versus all the commentary things. But it's also a fault to like the anti-commentary people as well, because they do just like say one creator within Now Recording or the commentary bros wrong them. More times than not, they're just going to say that entire group is bad or anyone associated with those people are bad. So there is fault on both sides with this, which like is part of the reason why I don't think this will ever be resolved. Like these two sides, like, and I don't really think anti-commentary is actually strong enough to like remain relevant. I do think it will fizzle out. It only takes like a few of their like figureheads within that side of the community to basically stop posting content, and then it dies off, in my opinion, versus like the commentary community, which has a lot of massive figureheads as creators that exist that like, even with a scandal or like a drama that occurred, like again, like the group chat I'm referencing because it's relevant, like it's recent, a lot of the people in that came out unscathed. You know what I mean? Like they're, but like if you were a small creator that did that, you would be like fucking deemed terrible and like arguably thrown into the anti-commentary people.
You know, I have a little bit of a theory on that, to be honest, right? Because I think the reason why, let's take specifically Siley. I know we both talk to Siley, we both know Siley.
I'm personally friends with Siley.
Well, I wouldn't say friends, but we get along like when we have to, I suppose, right? And I'm a big fan of hers. I watch a lot of her streams. And the reason why it's harder to hurt Siley when it comes to this situation specifically is because when you look at small commentary creators, you'll see probably very few people who genuinely know them, who genuinely like watch a lot of their content and understand and have a feeling for their character. When I like look at Siley and I look at what happened, I think, I know Siley. I've spoken to Siley. I kind of know what she's about otherwise. And people have lapses in judgment. She has more content. She has more viewers who are able to think that and kind of think, okay, well, I kind of like understand that there are lapses in judgment and I'm okay with that and I'll continue to support her because I consume the content and I think I know her as a person. And I think
she's not a bad person. I'm easy to say that.
I mean, I agree. I like
she's
Siley,
not a bad
but
person.
I'm
People
saying
do like mistakes, like you said, but like at the same time, I like, I don't know. Like in my opinion, she's the only one in that group that relatively like spoke up, though.
Yeah, I think on her part because she's big for us, right?
Yeah.
But on the scale of like who was in that group chat, she was the smallest. So that's why I think she kind of knew that it was harder for her to get away with it.
But that's what I was saying,
which is exactly like right. How the smaller you are, the less people are there to support you and like understand who you are, and the less like the same thing. She has more content like that people can refer to where they think, oh, Siley is probably not about this normally. This is like a lapse in judgment. Where small commentators don't really have that leeway.
Yeah. But that's like kind of like the Hamas situation. Is that like I want to like oh fuck I might get burned for this one, but the terrorist attack that they did against what's it called Israel. Like there's like the situation in like Gaza and West Bank. There's daily fucking incursions that happen all the time, but like these smaller anti-commentary channels can do shitty things all the time. They can make their fucking videos and their streams. They're not on the radar, but every so often they pop something off that is massive. Like again, like I'll use the group chat for example, and then they can just fade away. You know what I mean? Like they won't. It doesn't matter like if they were a shitty person or not. They can fade into the distance. And then now that larger community has to deal with that fucking explosion because the perception of everyone else. You know what I mean by that? Like, or the idea I'm getting with it is that like,
I have examples we can bring into that.
Go for it.
John Swan.
Oh yeah, true.
You remember John Swan?
Yeah, I know, I do.
Yeah, like he fucked up hard. He fucked up like big time, and he kind of faded away. And you know who was left to have to deal with like having to have associated with him or hung around with him? It was like fucking Nicholas Diorio.
Yeah, Tommy took flack for it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like the people that do this kind of shit, they could just kind of get to like be like, yeah, bye, I'm out of here, and then all of the rest of us have to deal with that perception that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then like,
I have a question
Sure.
for you. My question is, do you see yourself as like not particular? I'm not asking if you see yourself as anti-commentary or commentary. Do you see yourself as a mainstream commentary or smaller?
No,
commentary?
I am like small commentary. I am like niche like commentary.
Who are the people that you would personally associate?
Twitter
yourself
commentary. Like, so I find there's like the commentary community, and then there's like smaller commentary. And smaller commentary, in my opinion, are like I don't know if you know them, but like Dr. Skipper, like Doc on the radio, arguably, Chris the Narc, Xylee, like they're small commentary, and then in my opinion there's like Twitter commentary, which is like people who have Twitter followers and spurg the fuck out on each other on Twitter and like argue on Twitter and shit post on Twitter. I think I'm like part of that group. Like I do have like a small following, but at that point like it's not even relevant to like people that have like over 1K subscribers. You know what I mean?
So I ask more specifically, what people come to mind when you think, what people am I around?
Oh, the Leia something, Jessica Pizzle, let me think about it. Like Assistant Sailor, who've like passed 1K recently. And then like by default, like there are like people who mingle. Like I've had a lot of dealings with Slug, Salvo, God, how many examples do I need to give for this? I should know. But,
no, I get,
you know what I mean,
the,
though? Like, because I'm trying to think of, like,
like
creators specifically, not orbiters. Or, like, just callers.
Yeah. No, but this was sort of like, kind of like a little bit of a cheat question here. I was leading a little bit, right? Because you said earlier, you're friends beside you, right?
Well, okay.
What
like,
do you consider
quotation
silent?
friends, yeah.
Yeah.
We
like
talk
friends,
about
buddies,
like other things other than just commentary, which like I find like with some people, like I don't do that right away with people, per se, like in DMs. Like I have to know you for a while. You know what I mean? Like a few months, and you like I would say like 4 or 5 months, and then like get on a personal level with you. Whether like if that gets
we spoke about RuneScape pretty
well, but then there's also the other stuff with you, like where I went through like the situation with Doug. And I was like, I like didn't know what to do with it, and then I ended up speaking with you after that situation, and then moved forward. And then after that, though, like I did, like obviously we had a much better relationship after that. Same thing with Xylee. Like me and Xylee have talked about like dramas and stuff, and we've also given our personal takes privately about dramas, and then move on forward from there. And then like I think it's like I wouldn't necessarily like you can call me out for like say friends, but there is a level of trust. I think is established
obviously
now.
Yeah, but what would you consider Xylee?
Regarding what?
Regarding what part of commentary?
Oh, small. She's small commentary.
She's small commentary.
She's within like under 20K, but past 1K. She's out of the fucking mud.
Okay.
Because personally, I would think like Tommy C is probably the top of small commentary. I would say anyone under 50K.
Is he?
Yeah, anyone under
Okay.
anyone under like 50K, I would say is small commentary. Because if
Okay.
you compare it to like the rest of YouTube, though, 40K is nothing. Like you are nothing. You're not even like fucking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're not even like eligible for a fucking plaque at 100K. And then if you.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw you a bone here, but I don't want to talk about him. Okay, don't follow up on this. But what would you consider someone like Nerd City?
Fucking boring. Oh god.
Okay, yeah, but I mean like what is he part of? Like commentary?
He's large commentary. He's like what,
he's
900,000?
large.
Yeah, well, I would say anyone after
200,000, I think.
I think anyone after 100,000 is considered large commentary.
Okay.
And after that point, though, it just becomes.
Commentary?
I know I'm fucking stroking out now.
No, go ahead.
But at that point, it's just it becomes like a dick situation. Like, look how big my dick is versus you. You know what I mean? Like, Jalen's large commentary, but no one gives a fuck about Jalen. Same thing with Tipster. Tipster has over 100K fucking subs, but no one gives a fuck about that guy. But they are larger commentary. They're on like a different playing field, in my opinion. And then you have like Willie Mack, Turkey Tom, Augie, all those guys. But like Turkey Tom just hit 1 million. You know what I mean? He's like with Mudahar, arguably, where they're like, well, but Mudahar's at 4.
He's sort of leaning from commentary. He's like
I get what you mean.
now.
Yeah. But that we're getting into a whole different conversation of what is commentary at that point. Because like, I watch some.
Well, everything is technically commentary.
I guess, yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, like, Spurky commentary.
We're
like,
talking about the
Discord
community.
panel argument commentary.
Yeah.
No, okay. Where were we going with this?
So, personally, I think the reason why I align less with anti-commentary is because I see myself as being associated with mainstream commentary.
Okay.
Like, Peepaw, very wholesome, doesn't associate with all those people. D-Max, also anti commentary. Right? And you know, Jessica, you know, she gets in the frying pan and stuff, but I think because of her fights with Slug and stuff, she's probably also anti commentary. Right?
Yeah.
People like Siley. Those are the people that I mean, obviously I'm not anywhere near them, like, in size or anything like that, but that's the people that I associate myself with.
I guess, yeah, I know. Well, because I didn't even think of bringing up, like, D-Max and Peepaw, but part of the reason, though, is because, like, D-Max, they lumped him with Now Recording. You know what I mean? Yeah. And,
well, I don't I like to disassociate myself from Now Recording.
Yeah, but that's my fault, though. I'm not saying it's yours. That's my, like, when I look at D-Max, though, I also kind of, like, I associate him immediately
I think it's
important
to also, like, disassociate him a little bit from Now Recording, because he does have, like, so much other stuff.
No, it's true. Like, and I said that was, like, a fault of my own, though. But it's why he didn't come to mind, like, right away when you're asking, like, who I, like, pick up in mind, you know? Because, like, realistically, like, I think of everybody, I've probably streamed more with, like, Lamp and Sailor. Like, out of everybody for, like, the longest time. Like, me and then, like, arguably the people in the sin bin. But that's no longer a thing. So...
Well, I mean, you have been having your fingers in a little bit of some pies, trying to revive something similar.
I'm involved in everything at this point.
Everything.
I'm going to get commentary
Badwick
herpes
is everything.
pretty soon.
I think you are commentary herpes. But that's why when I, like, look at these, like, groups or something, and I think of, like, why I would associate Hamas and anti-commentary is probably because I'm Jewish and
You're biased
from the mainstream. I'm a little bit biased, I'll say it. The people I hang around with are not anti-commentary.
No, and that's fair. Like, that's what I was saying, though, earlier in this, is that, like, I do, like I said, like, for, like, my content and to, like, sort of grow my image, it wouldn't be smart for me to hang out with some of these anti-commentary people. So, like, I get...
So putting those biases aside, what do you genuinely think is, like, if you just morally had to say which side would you follow if none of this had an effect on you?
Probably mainstream commentary still. I think like even though like there has been faults and hypocrisies pointed out in it, I do think generally they don't do it as much or to the level of like life ruination as some of like the anti-commentary people go out of their way to do it. You know what I mean? And like I'm not saying everyone
Absolutely.
in anti-commentary does that, but there are some people who do.
I think just because of the association, right? If you're willing to let someone like fucking Salvo Pancakes be a part of your community, I think you probably have some moral internal battle you need to have commenced,
So I, I,
right?
I can
And think
question
about
you on
why am
that
I
though.
okay with this?
On that.
Yeah, you can.
So you're saying like if you should let them into their community, would you argue letting someone into your community versus letting someone onto your show different? Because I've been like
No, because
sorry.
I know, your whole stick is like
But you know what but
you basically let everyone have a platform.
I've gotten a shit ton of flack for it. Even with this fucking
Yeah,
liar liar podcast I tweeted out, people are pissed.
yeah.
Some people were like, how could you do
And
that?
you know, I disagree with that, but I will say there's a difference between saying, "Hey, everyone has a space on my platform," and then saying, "Yo, this guy is someone I support. Please come on my stream to like fucking run the show with me."
I agree. I think there's a
Do you
huge
disagree with that?
no. I think there's a huge difference though, with how some people look at it, and like I don't think you have this perception because I feel like if you did, we wouldn't be chatting with each other. But it like take one of my streams recently where I let Salvo call in. It wasn't necessarily supporting Salvo, but it was allowing him to get some of his like takes out there. I don't support Salvo like with the things he has done. I've openly public.
But you know what? There is some other discussion to be had there, right? Because when are we for deplatforming? When do you think deplatforming is warranted? What is your limit?
Violation of TOS, to be honest. The platform's TOS. If someone gets nailed and their shit gets taken.
So he has clearly broken.
No,
TOS,
and exactly, he has.
and you let him have a platform. You see where I'm going with
No,
that?
I do. It's a good argument. But then I guess it comes down to my moral choice where I don't like to
Yes.
spout opinions on an individual. You know what?
And,
Without having.
and that's your like prerogative,
But
right? Like
yeah,
I'm not gonna fault you for it, but I'm saying, when it comes to that sort of thing, and that's the same thing as why I personally don't disavow Siley, for example, it's because I personally have something in me where I can say I think Siley is probably a good person, and I like Siley and I like the content that Siley makes, or I don't think there's anything wrong with Siley, going on making her content, right? So I would allow her to still have her platform without saying anything.
no,
Which,
I understand that. Yeah, but like
yeah,
I have.
which is the same like discretion that we make between people that you made with Salvo, where you said, I still don't support him having like obviously he was deplatformed because he broke TOS, and there's a point in that. But you also have your own discretion to say, I'll still let him on my platform, probably because you don't think that there's like
Well,
any
it's part of
consequence to
it though. Is like if you want to compare this to like the Hamas and Israel situation, like I was saying, the media is very pro-Israel in all this situation.
You think so?
I do. Or maybe it's
I
North
think the
American.
media.
A lot of
Ooh, there
like the
could be a
media
little
I
bit of
see
a
is very
cultural
pro
difference
like
here.
Israel, and then even the politicians, like the Canadian Parliament's super pro-Israel in that regard.
I think you know what I think. I think the general media at large is probably pro-Israel, whereas the youth population, which are the people posting on Twitter and stuff,
Because
are
they've been like they grew up in a generation where they have to look into things more because of the whole like clickbait fucking narrative, false news,
yeah,
fake news. So I find like the younger generation is just naturally prone to dive into topics more, to look into topics more, to source different topics
yeah.
more. But like again, like with like some of the shit, like I hate Hassan Piker, but like there is atrocities being occurred on both sides.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but I don't find the media portrays Hamas at all. And I don't support Hamas at all. But again, like
I think it's like straight up 50-50 for me.
okay.
I see both. I see both all the time. I think from newspapers and like mainstream media, I see
Newspapers?
more.
Holy fuck.
Yeah,
I
I read
haven't seen a
newspapers.
newspaper in fucking years.
I read newspapers. You know why?
You fucking boomer.
Okay, whatever. We're same age. Stop.
You know what? I might get
read
canceled for my political takes, but the environmentalists are gonna come after you.
I get them for free. They come in my fucking news box. They're gonna be fucking or in my post box. Okay, they're just, and someone else is gonna get that piece of paper. Okay, I might as well take it.
Oh man.
And I also use them for my bird cage and
Your
stuff.
bird cages, holy shit.
I put it at the bottom of my bird cages. So yeah. Anyway, I'll read them and then I just put them over to get shit on. But it's like from the newspapers, like, and also news sources online, I see probably pro-Israel. But then when I go onto like social media and look at like something like what a younger generation, which is probably the difference,
Yeah.
are posting, I see like pro-Palestine.
Okay.
So I think the difference is really generational.
Yeah, very generational.
For me.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I definitely can agree with that on that. But then like
And you know what? Actually, this might be like complete bullshit, but it just came to mind. I think if we compared the ages between
I knew you were
people
gonna
in
go with this.
mainstream,
I knew you were gonna go down this route.
if we compared the ages of mainstream like commentaries, like their ages to anti-commentary, we'd probably see a little bit of a difference.
Well, Turkey Tom's an outlier, I find, because he's younger.
Yes.
But then like if you want to say he's younger, but then say like the years of him being on the internet is equivalent. You know what I mean? To like how
Yeah.
long some of these anti-commentary people. But like in your perception, are the anti-commentary people older or younger?
I see them as younger.
Do you?
That's like
I think I
do.
disagree. Well,
Okay, but
who like
okay, let's say okay, Tommy. Okay.
okay.
Old motherfucker. Tommy is an old motherfucker. Siley? I can't say. But you know what I'm thinking?
I know what you mean, but like Nicholas Diorio, like he's like young.
He's still he's like mid-20s,
Yeah,
right?
but that's young.
Okay,
I think
mid-20s,
anti-commentary
still younger,
is generally
but still
older.
Older. Anti-commentary is generally not older.
Huggy,
okay?
Salvo, Milltown. There's 4. Hugin. That's 5.
Hugin? Okay, whoa. I think we might think differently of anti-commentary because I see like people like fucking Austin No Powers, Michael Alberto.
Well, Michael Alberto's, I guess, Austin No Powers. He's not even like a content creator.
He's kind of anti-commentary though.
I guess, yeah. But then is he
So
anti-commentary
he's
because
just
like?
not old enough. He's not old enough to make content. That's the issue.
But is Austin No Powers arguably like anti-commentary because like mainstream commentary has gone at him like to so much that like it made him anti-commentary?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying
Because then like if we're going down
anything
that
else.
route, like Pod Awful is arguably anti-commentary.
I don't know Put Off.
Okay.
Oops.
And then who's that guy that just I don't actually want to say his name because the moment you say his name, anyways,
I'll edit it out. Who is he?
or whatever his fucking name is. It's
Okay,
like he recently got banned on Twitter, but he was like a huge movement in this like anti. He's actually one of the ones going against
Never
Salvo
heard of
and
him.
well, then there's individuals like CJ Brown. That's like anti-commentary as well. And then again, like,
Okay, but either way, I can make my argument here. Okay.
but they're all older individuals.
Yeah, they're washed up.
They're washed. Oh fuck.
No, honestly, to me, like, I don't know why, but I perceive them as younger.
That's fair. You
Maybe I'm
perceive them
wrong.
as younger, because like part of me though, and like maybe I might get canceled for this, but like I do find like some of these anti-commentary people fucking funny though. You know what? Like some of them I find generally funny. Also, how did I not name Slug for anti-commentary? But and like sometimes Mr. Sen. It depends on like the argument.
Yeah, I don't know much about
I know
him
Sen,
either.
but again, like I find like Milltown fucking funny. I really do.
I used to think he was like kind of just a weasel little cunt, but I started spreading this lie, okay, that like his and this is horrible. Okay, don't
Yeah.
judge me for it. But his he lives with his brother and his brother's girlfriend,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
And
I
his
don't know,
brother's
but
girlfriend has cancer. Okay.
okay.
So I started spreading this rumor that the reason why she had cancer was because Milltown made her eat asbestos.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
that.
and and I started spreading this rumor, thinking like, okay, it's gonna hurt him because like I did a copy pasta where because he did this thing where he was like, oh my god, I heard Maggot's child got like a malformed
Yeah.
like fucking head because she left him just like laying upright or whatever. And I took that and I just switched out like, oh my god, I heard Milltown's brother's girlfriend got cancer because he fed her asbestos. Okay, and I made it like a copy pasta or whatever. And he took that on the chin.
Yeah, Milltown's great at
So
taking
I think
jokes, I find personally.
I think he genuinely learned from like the mistakes that he made.
Yeah.
That being
But
said,
then no one will all no so like let's say like him for example though, he's a great example. Let's say do you think Milltown would remain anti-commentary if commentary generally welcomed him back? Not say welcome back,
No.
but like say like, hey Milltown, come
there's
back,
no
here's a clean
shame.
slate.
I think there's no shame in this, but I think he's in it for the like he mentions numbers and shit
Yeah.
all the time. I think he's in it for reviews and stuff, and I don't think there's any shame in that if that's what you want, if that's what makes you happy. I think he would take it in a heartbeat.
No, and like this is where like eventually like I want to bring the conversation to like where like the issue with anti-commentary is I think they're united in the sense that they don't like the mainstream commentary groups, but like their personal reasons for it are different. Like they don't all line up. Like Slug hates everyone. You know what I mean? Like everyone is
Yeah.
fucking pedophile, hard R word, fucking. You know what I mean? Has done every crime in the fucking book with that guy. But then like
Yeah.
Milltown is personally just like, from what I'm aware, like one or two fucking people that like he just got into an argument with that he doesn't like. So like, and then like if you move on to some of these other people like. For example, like CJ Brown, like his whole thing happened with like because like the SNT network, you know what I mean? But for a bit,
Yeah.
he was starting to get popular, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, like he was popular enough for a point that like Keemstar is gonna let him box bunk. You know?
Yeah.
Then like again, like after that whole dilemma happened, he died down, and I don't know his personal beefs with people, but like I used to find CJ funny, and then.
I had a poker game with him. That's about all I know about him. But he seemed like a fun person.
But like, see, like there, this is where I said like there's levels of the anti-commentary.
There's like people like Slug, and like people like Salvo who just want the other party to disappear.
Yes, and I do think that's a
Right.
real thing. I do think
Yeah.
like they
And
absolutely.
I think
are
there's
fine.
part like maybe CJ Brown is more like he just wants them to change and to be a part of like he wants the community
Well, I
to
think he
unite
wants
in
them to
being
take
good.
criticism for like the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Because he's not a dumb guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. Like, with that regard. Because some of the stuff, like, I don't agree with the shit he does, but some of the points he points out are like he's one of the ones that always points out like hypocritical arguments all the time with like the community. But like I don't both sides just want to exist in my opinion. And going to like the Israel Hamas thing, like they don't want the other side to exist at all. And I don't
And I think that's how we should wrap this up is what do you think is the ideal winning situation for Israel and Hamas?
I mean arguably create like a what's it called? I'm trying to remember the term of it. Like a two-state system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know there's like an official fucking term for it, but two-state system or what's it called? like a coalition or something, or a confederacy. Like, unite
Yes.
the land and then
But
govern
will
it
that
different.
happen?
No, never.
Will that
Never,
happen?
because neither side wants the other side to exist equally.
Okay, and how does that compare to anti-commentary and commentary? Do you think?
Well, so here's the thing. I think if anti-commentary could just exist, and like mainstream commentary didn't have any beefs with them, I think they'd just turn into like what regular commentary does and just fucking stream and talk about nothing. But at the same time, because of how they've approached this situation, commentary will never let it happen. They'll never let that side. And like, you know what I mean by that? Because like the attacks that anti-commentary has done and some of the association to their actions that they've done towards the mainstream commentary community aren't necessarily forgivable by the mainstream commentary community.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like mainstream commentary has all the power to do it. They have all the power to blackball anti-commentary. So like, I find that's why they're joined together, is to honestly build this sense of a community to survive together in this like online fucking shit show. Because like individually they're easy pickings. They'll disappear like that. But like if they're together in a group, they're a lot harder to get rid of, because all it takes is one person from mainstream commentary to attack them, and then together as a group they can go after that person. And that is their tactics. They are like a fucking piranha swarm. If you go out, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets attacked by fucking both sides of the situation.
It probably
But you know what I mean,
but
though?
that's
Like,
the point. We'll get views and we'll get engagement and fucking
I think like the mainstream commentary
Edwards.
individually, they're strong enough to go at the anti-commentary, and then when they unite together against someone, it's brutal. Like, they can like remove someone or blackball someone. Look at Slug, look at Salvo, all those are examples of it. But then like anti-commentary, the only way they can survive is if they're united, because the moment they start to fraction apart, they're gone. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. They're like together because of necessity.
They're together because of a mutual fucking hatred to the commentary community.
Yeah.
But that's it.
No, I think it's more survival. I think they know that there's no way for them to actively fight against mainstream commentary if they don't unite.
No, because they bitch about it all the fucking time. They're like, it's not, like,
it's a
all of them
necessity.
do. They're like, it's not fair, or I'm getting the black ball, and so on and so forth. They're like, arguably the louder than the mainstream commentary community with how much they dislike the other side. I will say that. But again, that goes into like the propaganda argument with like Hamas and Israel. Like, all over social media now, you do see like a lot of I see a lot of people supporting Hamas on like fucking Facebook and shit like that, and Twitter. But then like, and like the interactions with those tweets are ridiculous. But then if you also like look at like mainstream, for example, it's more pro-Israel, you know? So like there are like, I don't know, arguably comparisons to be made. And I will say like the people that support anti-commentary are fucking diehards for it though. Like their orbiters and viewers are way more malicious than actually the creators more often than not, I find as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So if you had to solve the situation, okay, what would you do?
Honestly, I don't think there's a way to solve it other than both sides basically just stop fucking talking about each other or caring that each other exist. I mean, obviously there's like, you would have to stop like the doxing, the mass harassment campaigns, but like if both sides just...
But see, that can't happen, can it?
No, it can't happen.
Because
it's
as
impossible.
you said, the viewers are more malicious.
It can't happen because you can't force someone to like someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also... I think the issue is commentary, and this is something I know that people have said throughout the years. Specifically, I know this is a conversation I've had with Tom.
Okay.
Small commentary live off of eating each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're a bunch of fish in a pond.
That's how, like, we're in a very fragile ecosystem where the way that you get views is that you get that hit off of someone else.
Yeah.
And you kind of eat them.
No, I
and
totally
become a bigger
agree with
fish.
that.
And then later some other fish comes along and eats you.
Yeah, no.
That's sort of...
You see it all the time.
Like, it's kind of a cannibalistic community.
Look at Demented.
And
Look, Demented was there, and he was gaining traction with his fucking sin bin, and then all of a sudden he came out and defended Xylee, and then Milltown made a fucking video about him. And then the Milltown video happened. And then you had people look into the situation. And then arguably people give Milltown and Cozy credit for taking Demented down. And then he was gone. Like, just fucking wiped out. And then what happened to Milltown? Milltown moved up and then got into his thing with Peepaw, Xylee, and D-Max. Boom. Gone. You know what I mean? But then, like, arguably...
So I think this is part of the ecosystem. I don't think there's anything that can be fixed because it's exactly how this community is designed.
Unless everybody stopped fucking talking about each other and, like, just covered news.
Yeah, but why would they do that? Because they're not going to grow like that.
Well, that's part of the argument of it, though. Is that, like...
It's designed not to be like that, so I don't think it'll ever...
I've always said that about this community. This community is a toxic... For anyone who wants to complain about this community being, like, lame and shitty and toxic, I'm like, this community was born out of toxicity. Even if you go to the roots of it, like, the very fucking beginning of it, like, Leafy, Keemstar, Colossal, Grade A, like, these people were criticizing people. Like, it wasn't a positive community to begin with. It was a negative community. And, like, there can be positives, and the community can do positive things, but it is still fundamentally a community based on, like, negativity and facts.
Yep.
Because that, like, in my opinion, is, like, even more brutal. If you have a negative person that has, like, fucking facts, it's brutal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But this is where we're going to wrap it up, because we said yep 3 times. I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I'd just like to say, anyone who wants to, watches this and enjoys it, hopefully you enjoy it, don't take anything I to say fucking politically seriously. I'm not a fucking expert on this topic.
I think, you know, there's a little bit of a disclaimer here to be had. We're not politically, you know, actually, don't you have a degree?
No, shut up. No, I'm not an expert in this.
We're not an expert
I'm
in
running my
anything
fucking mouth.
We're kind of just two retards, and we're just saying shit.
So,
and we hope that some of it is right, and we hope some of it sticks, but we might also just be two retards.
Take this as lighthearted as you can, and comment down below your opinions. Actually, like, to be honest, I am curious on your opinions, because that is the whole point of this.
I think
create a conversation.
The whole concept that we've gone with will open us up to criticism in itself, because it does come off as us, like, being on a high horse, that we're like, look, the commentary be like real life war, we are so clever, when in reality it's like...
It's not at all in reality, like,
it's
similar
not.
In any fucking way. So, like, I'm glad you said that. So if you take this seriously, actually, I'm going to turn around and make fun of you on my own, like, platform. So this is just a fun thing to do.
Turd Island specifically on you.
Turd Island on this episode.
No, we'll do anyone in the comments who takes this serious, we're doing a Turd Island on you. Every single one.
Thank you for watching this episode of Naggers.
You should kill yourself.
Naggers.
Okay, you can
Naggers.
You can stop the recording now.